The following was recorded in front of a live studio audience at the Studio 21 Podcast Café. This is the United Podcast Network.
If you're building or buying or selling a home, the Real Estate Crew's got news for you at the Real Estate House Party.
With attorney Rick Carter,
Real Estate House Party.
paralegal Kathy Holtshouser,
Real Estate House Party. Come in, have fun.
and comedian Tony V. Now, here's real estate attorney Rick Carter.
Welcome and thanks for joining us here on the Real Estate House Party. We're busy doing trivia, rock and roll questions.
I know, you guys weren't paying attention.
Should
we throw it out to the audience?
Yeah, we could do that.
Who co-wrote?
Who co-wrote, although there's a little dispute to it, co-wrote Layla with Eric Clapton.
All right.
All right, first caller at 781-944-9222.
John Lennon.
No, you can't just blurt out any
I know.
rock and roller that you
Just
know.
anyone that you know, right?
I'm impressed
Elton
you know.
John.
It was Elton John.
Was it?
No.
Oh,
He's just saying that so you won't keep
Justin
blurting.
Bieber.
I know.
Yeah.
I know it was John Marroni.
It's Barry Manilow.
Was it?
Oh, I'm going to see Barry.
I'm kidding you.
Oh,
Not supposed to see Barry Manilow.
Of
You're all
course.
yeah.
That's who she is. We
I write the songs.
we saw one of our.
She's a woman of a certain age. That doesn't surprise me.
Me and Johnny went one of the most.
You can admit it. You like
one
him.
of my favorite concerts of all time.
Jimmy Buffett?
Jimmy Buffett.
Yeah, that
At
was
the House
awesome.
of Blues with about.
He almost killed you going off the
know, all right,
the
don't-
truck ramp.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that was
just,
bad. John Marroni's the only one who could
don't
handle that
ever-
well.
Don't ever take a ride from Rick Carter.
Yeah.
Is that the?
Yeah, he's gonna just.
It's a good call.
We ended up in. We ended up in
A man
some-
with more speeding tickets than there are.
Rick brought new meaning to seeing a light at the end of the tunnel.
You're
took
probably
it- you
you're
took it
probably
so
the
well.
only person that could have handled it.
I was really multitasking. I was supposed to get my daughter, and I'm talking to Johnny, and we ended up in one of those tunnels, the MBTA
Oh,
tunnels.
you're checking the directions.
Oh, yeah.
and,
So it was me and a couple buses.
Buses, sure.
Yeah. And you
and
took
he's
it-
not lying, right?
No, it was real. It was real. We were playing chicken.
Let's just digress 1 second. So Rick's going up to get sworn in New Hampshire for his bar.
Yeah.
You know, because he got like grandfathered in,
Yeah.
and he's getting dressed in the car,
I
and
figured I better
I
look
didn't.
good.
You're a bartender?
he's like literally putting his tie on, putting his shirt on, and his pants on, and apparently there was a state trooper following him, and she pulled him over.
Yeah.
And she said,
What the hell
"Sir,
are
I
you
have
doing?
had my lights on for the last 10 minutes following you."
She goes, I almost had to call in other police officers. And,
So then she said, "Where are you going in such a hurry?" And he says, "I'm going to get sworn in
as an
as an attorney." And she goes, "Go on your merry way."
Put your pants on and get out of here.
Lewd and
Famous
lascivious.
last word.
Yeah.
Famous last words. Put your pants on and get out.
Yeah, I had my lights on for 10 minutes. I know they were bothering me. I had to turn the mirror and everything.
I almost couldn't put my tie on.
Oh, we could spend the whole half hour
Oh, we could.
on
Yeah.
issues.
Don't
But
you
we have
ever do that again.
We have John
Anyway.
Marroni with us, who is.
Wow.
Where are you now?
The Iceman.
Draper
Where
and
are you?
Kramer Mortgage.
Good for you.
I gotta just say, we were talking about Barry Manilow. He's one of those singers that no guy will ever admit that they like
That's
any song.
exactly what I was trying to say to Tony.
I don't like them.
No, I'm.
What do you have against
I'm happy
him?
to admit it. I don't like.
That's what
Is there any song when you grew up that you liked that you were afraid to admit?
Oh, Mandy, you came and you gave.
Yeah, I like some silly songs. Yeah, I
You know
we
who
all
the-
have secret
you
shames.
know who the rock-
You mentioned them. Like, if anyone asked me about Jimmy Buffett, I'd go, "Peh," but. I'll listen to Margaritaville.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
Old
fins to the
55.
left and fins to the right.
Early
I
on
think
he
he's
had
a
some
genius.
good stuff. The Volcano song I like.
Yeah.
Genius.
So did you like any Barry Manilow songs? Come on.
Copacabana.
Okay.
Did not.
I did.
Yes, he
That's
did.
only, that's the
At
only
the
one you remember.
Copacabana.
I couldn't tell you another Barry Manilow song.
No, you can.
Oh, I write the songs. That's not bad.
All right.
All
So
right.
see, we're coming.
It's not
Are
bad.
you got anything?
Right.
No,
He
I-
also
no.
has a lot of commercials he wrote,
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
like Charmin and all those. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're all the same song.
They're all exactly the same.
We're just hoping he hangs in there till December.
I know.
I'm just sad he never found a wife.
Well, he may have.
You shouldn't go through life lonely if you're that well off.
Yeah.
You know who it was in my family that I couldn't really fess up? Because my brother hated Elton John.
I loved Elton
Oh,
John.
really?
I thought
I
Elton
love
John,
Elton
so
John.
I couldn't.
Early Elton John's great.
Yeah, exactly.
Once he started putting on the glasses,
Yeah.
it was all over.
You could see it all come out like during a wedding. Whoever gets on the dance floor. You're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
I knew you liked that.
I knew it. Like that.
Come on, guys.
But don't shoot the piano player.
Right.
Oh,
It's
he's
all
got
good.
some great
Yeah,
songs.
sure.
John Marroni.
Yeah.
I think that
Mortgage.
John's going to be. You have your glasses.
I got my people.
No, your sunglasses.
You don't have the Uniball
Am I,
ones
am
there?
I going to glaze over?
You
Am I?
certainly are.
Oh, I
John
wish-
Marroni said, "Can you at least give me 5 minutes?"
Here you
I
go,
wish I
John.
had a hood.
You have everything. I'm not going to even interrupt you.
Oh, that's awesome.
I can't make the same promise.
You know my promises don't keep anyway.
All right, John.
gonna
So
say you
quickly,
believe hers.
what's going on in the real mortgage world? So we were talking out front before the show, and you're saying people's bargaining power or purchasing power is way down since the rates are up.
Yeah, so I was just doing quick math on $500,000 mortgage. Like if you compare the rates last year to now, the difference in the monthly payment's like about $600.
Jeez.
That's significant.
It is.
That's a lot.
That's a lifestyle change.
Yeah.
Or flip it the other way. If they wanted to keep the same payment with the higher rate, it's now instead of $500,000, more like $400 or like $380.
And they can't. There's no houses that they can afford in that. You know what I mean?
Right.
That they want.
Yeah, my biggest challenge is qualifying them now, debt ratio wise. It's just
So if anyone on the cusp is not going to get approved.
no.
Anyone from last year that you pre-qualified.
Yeah, unless they want to go to like an adjustable rate, maybe something fixed for 7 years.
And what's that rate at?
It's like around
About
5.5.
And
even that is crazy.
It is.
And then you're betting that they're going to go down.
Yeah.
Or you're not staying in the property for
Right.
more than 5 years.
5 years.
The biggest problem is, because people say, rates are around 7%, and then you have the camp that says, well, historically, it's not a bad rate. Well, yeah, but
Seven?
last time
I
they were
haven't
at
seen-
7, the prices of the homes were half the price.
Without a doubt.
So
Yeah, I haven't seen sevens. When's the last time we saw a 7 and put?
I can't remember.
Yeah,
it was 2000 maybe.
I don't remember it then. I thought it was.
But the problem,
No, you're right. It was like the late 90s.
the problem
yeah.
is most people that have been paying attention to the rates have refinanced and they
That's
got
right.
their cash out,
Yep.
or they did the rate and term refi. Now what we're seeing is refinances that have a boatload of problems, like executions and
Yeah.
stuff like that. That there was a reason why they didn't refinance at 2%.
Right,
But
right.
which makes your job that much more difficult.
Yeah, it does.
Now, given that these things are cyclical,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm correct in assuming that. I think
Yep,
that.
no, you're right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Where are we in this cycle?
Well, here's the thing. Like if you looked at the comparison, the gap between the 10-year fix, which is not a direct correlation, but it's pretty close. So the 10-year fix is like around 4%. And the interest rate's 7%. Last time they were at 4%. It was like around 2008, 9, and 10. Those rates were like in the 4s. And then people might say, well, that's because the Feds pump money into it, which is true. But then I look back even further, around 2001, 2, and 3, those rates, that's where the 10-year was at 4%, and the rates were like around 5. So just
So why
that
is
alone.
why is it inflated now? Then what do you think?
Because of the uncertainty. They
Yep.
just wait. Once the market hates uncertainty. People hate uncertainty. As soon as whatever is, it's certain. I mean, and I could prove it because you go to McDonald's. You go to McDonald's.
Go prove
He's
it.
going to prove it.
He's
You
the
go to
only economist
McDonald's.
in the
Give him
world
a
that can
minute to
prove it.
prove it.
You are starving. You go to McDonald's and you are certain you will know how you feel 2 hours after you eat it, but you still go because it's your only option. You know what to expect.
Right.
That's
Right.
what McDonald's is all about.
Something you two right. The McDonald's analogy, and you have to just explain our economy.
Yeah.
So
I'm giving him a
Right,
I'm
right.
letting him off.
So
the
like
hook.
Right.
I didn't know it was on the hook.
You are when you come on the show, honey. You know that.
So it's like whatever it is, if someone said this is exactly how things are going to be, you'd see the market settle down and everything, because then people can plan accordingly.
Right.
So right now a lot of cash is on the sidelines because people kind of wait and they don't know which way to go. And
Well, you get sellers that still have a house that has a big value.
Yep.
But you have buyers that have lost their buying power.
Yep.
And even if the seller sells, then where do they go? if they have a 2% interest rate and now they're going to go to a 7% interest rate, or they go rent, but the rents are like mortgages now.
Yeah, they're at like $4,000 a month.
So I heard this stat today. The Labor Bureau of Statistics said it's the worst work production since 1947.
No way. Wow.
Productivity's
Yeah, it's
Way
just I think
down.
COVID
Sure.
just.
Are you comparing that to your office?
No,
I haven't
that's
seen
an
it.
outlier.
No,
that's
no.
an outlier. You can't. Yeah.
I thought my productivity was.
Oh, it's way up. Yeah.
I show up.
Those 7 hours you put in a week is really kicking.
Now,
it.
let me ask my last serious question of the
Oh
podcast.
no, it's too much.
I know. How much does politics play into this?
Everything.
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 So come election, which is about a week away
Yeah.
from where we are now, if things change, you could see things loosen up.
Yeah, because let's assume the Republicans take over both houses, and you got the There'll be like gridlock in Washington, and Wall Street loves gridlock because they know
Right.
nothing will happen.
Right.
So nothing can change.
That's a good point. Yeah.
So now they know where they stand for 2 years.
Right. Right.
Gridlocked.
Right. Gridlock.
Yes,
Right.
and they love
So
the market, and that's why you're starting to see the market tick back up. The
Right.
Dow because
They
if-
think
if-
the Republicans are going to take
Yeah,
over.
and then there'll be a nice gridlock. Nothing's going to happen. They might as well just put
Right.
their feet up.
Right.
Yeah,
2 years.
take a 2-year vacation.
Yeah, Congress will pass something, Senate, and Biden will veto it. And then
Now, the next bump,
Yeah.
supposedly it's going to be 3/4 of a point.
It is.
But they've already probably factored it in.
Into the
yeah.
7%.
So don't get nervous, people, if you hear that it goes up 3/4
Are
of a
you
point.
kidding me? 7% makes me nervous.
Right.
But I think they've
But
already
that doesn't
factored it.
affect that 7%.
Exactly right.
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 rates will come. Next year at this time, rates will be around 5.5 on
Yeah.
a 30-year fixed.
All right.
That's it.
Or less, I bet.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah,
Could be
yeah.
even the high fours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Definitely.
So we're in for a bumpy year, and then things should smooth out.
But
Yeah.
people are still buying houses. We see a lot of cash
A lot
purchases.
of cash, though.
I see a
Yeah,
lot of
that's
building.
great.
I see a lot of building.
know,
Except
yeah.
that
Which is amazing to me.
the building
Construction prices
production,
are unbelievable
the
now.
construction. We have several construction in our office.
Yeah.
And they were supposed to close in November, and now they're not closing till next July. Like that's how far behind
know.
they are
Yeah.
in supply,
Yeah.
right? Supply
I know.
demand and
I know.
workers.
Yeah, we got all these, in and around Boston, these monstrosities that go up, these buildings
It's
Well,
crazy.
Boston
that are
is-
like cities.
They parachute them in.
Yeah, it's insane.
Now, the Boston really didn't change that much for years.
Yeah.
In the last couple of years.
You didn't
when
recognize
when
it.
Right. When I go to the garden, it's
No,
exploded.
you don't even know how to get into the garden
Right,
anymore.
it's exploded,
Yeah.
exploded.
Yeah.
So with all this being said, with all the uncertainty, divorce rate seems to be up.
Yeah, it is actually.
Oh, so there's a
Well,
silver
Tom-
lining.
There is.
Tom and Giselle, if their marriage fails, every marriage is
Yeah.
failing.
Are they pissed
actually-
now they're going to have to be in the sevens when they refinance?
I don't think that's gonna be an issue with them.
I don't know. No, he's going to end up crying on his $600 million boat.
Yeah. How about
And
the
that's
guy-
just his boat.
How about the guy, the originator of Facebook? What did he lose? About $100 billion the other day? That's a bad day.
Yeah, but if you have $100 billion to lose, how bad do I feel for
Doesn't
you?
that's it.
Kanye lost all that?
He's not
too.
a billionaire.
Oh, yeah.
No, now he's just a millionaire.
Well,
Yeah.
he brought that on himself a little bit
Yeah.
there. So.
You think?
Total self-inflicted. Things are going too well. What can I do? What can I say?
I haven't been in the news very
That
often.
wasn't really
so-
economy driven.
Did anyone win the Powerball, speaking of which?
Nope.
No, that was
not
not
yet.
like in the billions.
It didn't win last night. It was
No.
$1 billion last night.
Wow.
Yeah. What would you do if you won?
What's that?
What would you do if you won?
You would never know. Because you would never see me again.
The rocket ship. the rocket ship.
Would
right?
Aruba have
You
anything to do
you
with
would
it?
you would get a call from me going, if you want to find me, I got a suite waiting for you in Aruba.
I could if my wife won, I could tell because I'd come home and all the locks be changed.
That's not nice.
Speaking of divorce,
Yeah.
so the demographics, they call it the gray as in the color of divorce. The seniors, the divorce rate since the 90s have tripled. For the
Wow.
yeah.
Why?
I think the kids moved out and they finally look at each other, or maybe they just got glasses and say, "Oh my God, that's you."
Holy shit. Oh, did I swear?
I'm still with you.
Yeah.
No, and I think too back then it was just frowned upon. that generation
I
to
love
get
John
divorced.
Marroni hypothesizing
Yeah, yeah.
why divorce is
And now it's like the kids are gone. They're like, all right, I got another 15 years to live. That's a long time with you.
Right. It'll see-
It's a very short time by yourself.
Well,
Does
but
your wife
maybe,
watch the show?
but maybe that's the reason.
Hi, honey.
Maybe that's the reason to stay married, so it feels longer.
Yes, you're gonna live a long life.
Plus, Tony, what would you do? You wouldn't have your honey-do list.
Nah,
You wouldn't even know how to put your pants on in the morning. Don't you have that joke?
I wouldn't mind that either.
Yeah.
All right, so,
I'd be walking around. People go, "Where are your pants?" I go, "I don't know. I do not."
So
know."
back to the point. If you
My
want-
wife didn't tell me to put them on.
if you won $1 billion,
Yeah.
would your wife get a call also, or? I know we would get a call saying you might not.
She
you might-
would, because he'd just get her own villa
Oh, yeah.
in Aruba,
Okay.
and they could just visit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't love her.
Right.
No, I didn't say that.
No,
I'm just
yeah.
wondering.
It's just that, you go, yeah, I'm going to be here for the rest of my life. Come visit me whenever you want.
So on the flip side,
Okay,
the divorce rate for younger folks, up to like 25 to 40, that rate has dropped in half.
Well,
Because they get married
They
later.
get married later.
They get married and
they
they
take
don't-
and they take a harder look at each other.
and some of them don't get married.
Well,
so-
right. When
Yeah.
you're 24 years old and you get married, you have your head up your ass. and
Totally,
you're-
yeah.
So,
Yeah, this is love.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to spend the rest of my life with you.
Yeah, I promise.
Yeah.
But that's statistically because they might not be getting married.
That's right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, that's one of those things.
Yeah, they won't get
divorce-
married. They don't get married.
One of those things, divorce, I don't condone it, but I understand it.
Yeah. Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like, you
yeah.
go,
Well, it's better than murder.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, because the husband's always the prime suspect.
Right.
Yep.
Of
You know,
course.
you have
Yeah.
to do some real planning.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
vice versa with wives. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? The spouse is always.
Yeah, you know you're going to jail,
Right,
so you got to
right.
weigh the options.
So in terms of mortgages and divorce,
Okay.
I am a divorce mortgage
Well, the
planner.
problem is if you have a house,
Yeah.
you have 2.5% existing now,
Right.
And now you're getting divorced, and you both have to go your separate ways, buy another house. You're now talking about the sevens, right? So go ahead.
That's where I come in.
Okay.
So what divorce mortgage planning does, it takes a holistic approach. It's not just to me about the mortgage. It's getting everyone else together, where it's the financial planner, the divorce attorney, and you get the mortgage person as well. And my thing,
That's if anyone's talking to each other.
well, right. So I try to
Ever
get.
deal with a divorce attorney?
Yes.
Yes,
I have.
Didn't mean to bring it up.
Yeah, actually, yeah. I mean, the idea is, it turns out there's life after divorce. So you want to try to set up both
Yeah.
couples in the
Best
best
position as you can.
as possible.
Yeah.
I remember I got divorced. My ex and I, our main thing was our son. It turned out she ended up being a great ex-wife. And actually, that's why I married her. You should be a great ex-wife.
That's a resume builder right there. Yeah.
You need to have an exit strategy. So if you do that, you don't need a prenup because you already know you're
She's
good.
going to be a great
Yeah.
ex-wife. All right.
So I'll give you a couple of examples where I want to get involved in the beginning. I had this couple. Instinctively they said, we're going to sell everything. And there was a couple they had a second home in Plymouth, and they were going to just sell the second home, and they were going to pay all this capital gains. And I said, because it was the second home, wasn't their primary, and I said to the husband who was moving out, I said, you work in Boston. I go, why don't you just live in the house in Plymouth for 2 years as your primary residence, then sell it, and you'll minimize your capital gains. And that's exactly what they did. So, the wife was happy about that
Yeah,
as
Right.
well.
So he moved out.
Right. So
Move to the Plymouth.
Right. So what happens is, when you talk about the mortgage, let's say you have a nice low rate. So what's important is how it's written in the divorce decree. If they specifically say that, the wife is responsible for the mortgage payments, even though the husband's on there, if it's spelled out specifically in the divorce decree, in the mortgage world, I won't have to debt him for that mortgage. So he has it there. So the only risk he has is if the mortgage is not paid on time.
Right.
Period. So it's like, because if that language is not in there, then, you got to wait 12 months of the wife making mortgage payments and assuming that she opened up her own checking account. So it's just, you kind of put them in the best light possible.
So the separation agreement should say,
It's got to spell it right out.
Why
it can't be not a blanket statement. It's got to specifically
Yeah, but
say.
what if the husband wants the cut of the house, like wants to buy her out?
So you could do a couple things. Maybe do a line of credit on the house, put a second mortgage. I mean, line of credits aren't that attractive anymore now
No, not
either.
at 7 or whatever.
Right.
It's
So,
8
or just put if he doesn't need the money right now, maybe just put a clause in that when it's, every year they'll revisit the idea of refinancing, looking at the market that way. And,
Right.
And if the rate hits a certain threshold, you might just throw in like 4.5%. Then we'll refinance, take cash out.
Right.
Another thing too is
Can I ask you a question about
You sure can.
the verbiage in these separation
Yeah.
agreements? So if they both have credit cards in both their names, so that's still going to be a factor in each.
you could do that too.
do the same thing.
Same thing
right?
with the debt.
Right,
as well.
right. So you're going to pay for these credit cards,
Yep.
and a lender's going to take that. Okay.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. The best thing.
That's good.
Yeah, and along that line, even if people are not getting divorced, just let's say an auto loan or a student loan that they co-sign for their child.
Yeah.
The best thing to do is open up a separate checking account with just the child's name only.
And have the child pay.
Pay the student loan or the car loan for 12 months, and we don't have to debt the parents.
nice.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah, that is good.
Yeah, I mean that's like a game changer because I've seen people with $1,200 a month student loan payments that all of a sudden now they can't qualify.
Has
for
that
a
always
mortgage.
been the case?
It has. It
Okay.
has. It's just that now that the rates are higher, and now we're really
Now-
taking a harder
now it's
look
right,
at the
right,
debt
right.
ratio. We're trying
Right.
to different ways.
So that's your biggest hurdle right now is the debt ratio.
Oh yeah, it's a killer.
It's very confusing.
Well, because
Yeah.
but you don't even take in the cost of living. You're just taking in principal, interest, taxes,
And insurance.
and
Maybe condo fees. Yeah.
Yeah.
So what's the ratios for that?
So I can go as
30
high as 50%.
What?
It's just one number. Yeah. If someone's perfect credit, all day long, 50%.
What do you
50? Who
consider?
would want to pay 50%?
Well, if you're making a lot of money, right? It's all about disposable income. So if you're making a few $100,000 and you still have an extra $15,000 a month, it's fine. But if you're making $40,000 a year and your disposable income is $10, that's going to be a problem.
Yeah, I know that.
Been there.
So, and it's funny you say that because when I try to pre-qualify someone, the very first question I ask them is, what are you comfortable paying per month?
right.
Period. And then I just kind of back
It's
into
like
it.
the used car salesman
It is, but it's
mentality.
true that you got to.
Right.
Because I've sat with someone. They said, I said, you're looking at this house. What do you want to? What's the purchase price? They're like, $700,000. We want to put as little down as possible. And I said, all right. Well, I go, well, what do you want to spend per month? They're like $1,000. So I said, this is where
Well,
we get
you asked.
Me and
This is
you
where-
are not going to get along.
This is where we realign expectations.
yeah. Yes.
Another strategy is when it comes to support payments.
Yeah.
Sometimes, if it's alimony, and the husband might just say, you know what, I just want to just give you a lump sum, $500,000, and just I want to go into
Call
the
it a
sunset,
day.
and
Yep.
just that's it. So traditionally, you would say, let's say she wasn't working, and she wanted to get a mortgage. I'd be like, well, I don't have any income.
Well, yes, you do.
Well, it's one lump sum.
Right.
So what we do is we take that $500,000, we
Oh, you
create
invest it
No,
almost?
well, we create a revocable trust,
Yeah.
and
Their trust pays her, right, monthly?
right, as long as we can demonstrate that she can get it for 3 years. So we just say $10,000 a month. We just need one distribution, and then I can use that $10,000.
Wow.
How cool is that?
So who do you
That's
invest
very
at?
cool.
When you say you start a revocable trust, so who,
It could be anything. It just
like you just go to a Merrill Lynch or whoever.
anybody, yeah. And,
Yeah.
and it could be anything. It could be just sitting in a bank, but it's the trustee making the payments, and we just have a letter saying, yeah, I'm going to make payments. Going to give a distribution of $10,000 a month, and you just show one distribution, and
Which
then,
is pretty easy if you
Yeah.
got 500,000
Yeah.
thrown
Uh-huh.
in there. Now the child, oops.
And I even had one where it wasn't in a trust, but she was getting distributions, but not quite enough. And I said, we need to up that about $1,000 a month. And he just wrote a letter saying, you now got a raise, $1,000 a month. We did one distribution, and we're able to use
Wow.
that. Yeah.
Didn't we run into a problem several years ago where you were using alimony payments as income,
Yeah.
which you typically would do,
Right.
but he
The
didn't
school age.
he wasn't paying them every month. Like
Right.
you pay her 2 months and then no months.
That's
and
gonna
then-
be
and so
every
you
month.
ran into a problem there.
Yeah.
Because she said, yeah, I get like $1,500 a month, but then when you started looking at her financials, she'd get $3,000 one month and nothing for 60 days.
Yeah,
and,
it's got to be consistent for 6 months.
right.
You know, and so you know, and then you get the other thing that trips people up is the child support. So in the divorce decree, it says 18 or till they're emancipated, and so someone says, "Oh, my child's going to go to college." So the underwriters look at it as like till they're 18. They think worst case. So if someone's like a sophomore in high school as a child, we're not going to be able to use that income because it won't continue for 3 years.
Right.
Is how they look at it. Even if someone had a scholarship, to the local college, they just assume, the kid's just not going to finish.
So is that the criteria? 3 years?
3 years. 3 years. So if someone has a child that's like a freshman in high school or younger, it's
You're
pretty
okay.
safe. We're
Yeah.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yep.
it's all
Boy,
those.
it gets pretty tricky, huh?
Yeah, it does. It does.
And things do have to be consistent. We had that problem where someone said, "Oh yeah, I got child support of $2,000 a month," and when they finally checked into that, it was like $1,500 one month, $2,500.
Well, yeah, that's what I was
another
just
month.
saying about the alimony. That same.
And some was
Yeah.
cash, and some was
Right. There was no paper trail, and
Yeah, even though they might say, well, it says it right here in the divorce decree.
whether it's happening,
Yeah.
it could say it, but if it's not happening and
You
you,
got to
can't
demonstrate
prove
6
it.
months. Exactly.
So I just kind of wanted to go back to your 50% debt to income ratio.
Yeah.
At one point, wasn't it 33%? Wasn't that kind of the,
That was even before my time.
really?
Yeah.
It's always been stuck in my head.
Yeah, those are the red line languages. But what's happening now is when you run it through the automated system, whether it's Fannie Mae or Freddie Mac, if someone has a credit score of 740, a FICO score of 740,
FICO.
Go.
I would do that on your own.
Sure.
Yeah,
Go.
I wish there was some website
Yeah,
that
just
could
go.
do
I
that.
know.
Yeah.
What would you call-
FICO, you son.
you should. Everybody should.
Yes. Go FICO yourself.
Everybody would be much happier.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
Right. Knowing their credit score.
Yeah, that's usually what happens in the divorce.
Too much FICOing?
Yes.
Yes.
GFY.
Somebody was FICOing outside the line.
Yeah,
Yeah.
a lot of that dialogue going on.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, the better the credit, the more lenient for that. So if I had someone like around a 700 credit score, usually it's like the debt ratio of 45 that will get through.
It's still not.
FHA
huge.
is 57 on the back.
Really.
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
Now,
Yeah.
does FHA have any kind of like income restrictions and
No.
None.
None.
Zero.
No.
So why would I get an FHA mortgage?
Well, one could be if you
Lack
have
of
an
down payment.
Yeah, they do like 3.5%. Or I have someone that's debt ratio's up there because she's got all these student loans,
Right.
and the back ratio is up to like around 57.
So you get an FHA. Are the FHA interest rates typically higher than the conventional?
Right now they're about the same, but
Upfront costs?
yeah, they get that upfront
yeah.
mortgage insurance, which is almost 2 points.
Can you
Right.
get that back at all?
if you refinance
To
with
an FHA.
to another FHA.
Yeah.
If those student loans get forgiven, does that change anything?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, because now you don't have to debt them.
Right.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. So that's
That's what everyone's
a plus.
hoping for.
Yeah, it's a plus.
Don't hold your breath.
So,
I know.
so the long and the short of it is, suffer where you are.
Well, that's how you grow.
Right.
Yes, as a human.
Right.
You know, it's like with a
you're
plant-
looking around your life, going, "This is miserable."
And the
but
thing-
if I divorce, it's going to be more miserable.
The thing is, there's no such thing as real happiness
No,
anyway, Tony.
no.
So
Yes,
just
there is.
suffer.
No, there's
Yes, there
moment-
is.
Wow.
There's momentary happiness, but there's no long.
When you're driving in your car smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen.
Well,
to
you take
XM
the
radio.
You take the moments that I had a good little run there.
Yeah. Yeah. You know, hey, the last 6 hours have been pretty good.
It's been a good run.
Yeah, I know what's
Absolutely.
going to happen now.
So
yeah.
So that's
I had
the
a meal.
bar's pretty low on that one.
Yeah.
Appraisals, do they still require appraisals, or are they shifting them? That's been going back and forth. Do they do those desktop?
So yeah, sometimes you can get an appraisal waiver.
Yeah.
You know, you run it
'Cause
through
you-
the system.
yeah, you
What's
put
the
it-
criteria?
You know what? Typically, if someone has perfect credit, and it's just more like that they like the borrower. And
Really?
yeah, because I had one where someone
But
wasn't.
don't they have like a pool of information on that, and if they can?
That's the other
Oh,
thing,
who has
right?
sold like in the
Yes.
last
Yeah, yeah.
5
So
years.
if you
or-
happen to be doing a Fannie Mae loan, if I'm running through DU and someone had refinanced with a Fannie Mae, yeah, that data's in the system. That's part of it.
Yeah.
Because I had one that the previous owner had like a Freddie Mac loan, and I was doing Fannie Mae, and the debt ratio. I mean, the guy was putting 50% down, and it was still requiring an appraisal. I couldn't
really?
figure it out, and someone explained it to me like, yeah, it's not, the data isn't in the system, so they don't know.
Right.
Is what happens.
Right.
Yeah, because I've had somewhere perfect credit, 10% down, I get an appraisal waiver. I'm like,
Really?
Yeah, I had one too where.
And so it has nothing to do with the property.
Not really. I mean,
Because
it
they're
does.
banking on the buyer.
It's a combination.
Okay.
It's a combination.
Right.
They
Right.
call it. I had one where the list agent said, does the appraiser have to come in? This kitchen's a mess, like the condition. And I said, well, because they didn't accept the offer yet. And I said, well, let me run through the system first. And I got an appraisal waiver. And because of that, they accepted the offer because the appraiser didn't have to go in the house.
Huh.
I know.
So does that help the buyer or hurt the buyer?
I know. So yeah, that's always been a question in my mind.
It seems like the buyer's all excited about, oh, that's great. I don't have to get an appraisal done. But does it really kind of hurt them maybe a little bit?
Well, that's where your home inspector comes in.
Yeah, but a lot of them are waiving the home inspection.
That's coming back.
Yeah, it's coming back
it's
with a
coming back
vengeance.
now, but
It is.
yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
all the contingencies are going back in.
Yeah.
Well,
I
because
recommend-
people, they're spending more money and they want what they get. Yeah.
Right.
Well, it's not. Yeah, that's
It's back
not
to normalcy
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know what I heard is someone went to an open house. This is an open house. And there were 3 different people walking around with their home inspector. So they already paid for a
Right.
home inspection
Right.
before they even thought about making
Right.
it.
Right.
That way
Wow.
they can make the offer waiving the home inspection if they wanted
Listing agents hate that, but,
Yeah.
whatever.
Is
Yeah.
it legal? You can
It's
do
legal.
that?
Oh, yeah. You can bring anyone, but I don't know.
But like, do they go on
almost
the
like-
roof? Do they
it's
go
almost-
down in the basement and check the furnace? Like, do they? I mean, how? I mean,
I don't know.
typically home inspectors are there for hours, right?
Right.
to. Well, I'm sure they look at the main.
Yeah, but they're not looking at the roof.
They probably take a
Gaze up that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great
Oh,
one.
they might just say, how old's the roof?
Yeah.
5 years.
Some don't look at the roof anyway during the home
Right.
inspection.
Mine was
Yours
too
did it.
old.
Right.
Yeah.
Your roof or your
We
home
get-
inspector?
Both.
When we were doing the house down the Cape, we got some home inspector, and he was down to the doorknobs.
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
Like what this doorknob's loose, or you
Right.
need this.
Yeah.
You go, come on.
Years ago, home inspectors, this might be an urban legend, but some home inspectors would crucify a house, so they'd back away from that house, the buyers would back away, and then you'd have to have them add another house.
Yeah.
Right, and pay him double.
Yeah. I know.
I heard that. I've seen that.
Yeah.
I have seen that.
Oh, you mean they'd give a bad review?
Right,
Yes.
just so they wouldn't buy
so
that
they
house.
wouldn't buy that house.
But
and
they
then
knew they
they'd
were
go,
gonna- yeah.
And then
Yeah.
you
And they're
get
like,
paid again for the
Yeah,
next
what
one.
a great
That's a
inspector.
s-
He told us
I'm
that
gonna
this house
do
was going to be
that.
terrible.
That sounds like a great job.
Great scam.
Yeah.
Well, my wife and I, we bought the house we have now. It was built in 1989. We bought it in 2013. They said everything's original to the house. So we didn't
Well-
need a home inspection to tell us we need new appliances, we need the new AC unit, which we're going to replace. So we waived the home inspection. And even then, it turned out we needed new windows because the way they installed it, there was like a little gap. So a home inspector would have caught that. But the reality was, my wife said, honestly, even if the home inspector said it, what we're going to do?
You're
we
gonna
wouldn't
buy
have done
the
it.
house anyway.
We were going to buy it anyways.
Right.
So a
Right.
home inspector, you got to remember, it's not a brand new house. So they're here saying, this you're going to need in 5 years. They're helping you prepare.
Yes.
So it's not like everything.
Set the
you're
expectation.
always going to need a roof. You're going to need a roof in 30 years. Okay.
And you're always going to need a working furnace, and
You know, what we've seen lately too, well, not as much now since we've come that way, but people are waiving the home inspections, but then during their walkthrough
Right.
before the close, they say, I don't like this hole in the closet here. Well,
It was already there.
it was already
Right.
there.
Right.
So I know.
Right.
So we are coming
But
full
yeah,
circle.
we're going back to some normal real estate closings with the
Yeah.
higher interest rates and
asking for repairs. No one was asking for repairs for a while.
Right.
Because they wouldn't get their offer accepted.
like
Right.
seller paying closing costs and
Right.
stuff. We haven't seen
or
any
subject
of that
to
in 2
selling,
years.
selling a house.
Right. Oh, that's
We
been
have a bunch
5
of
years,
them.
right?
So we got a bunch of those now. When people come in, I know we're going to wrap
Yeah,
this
we're
up soon.
done.
One more question about someone selling their house.
Yeah.
I mean, buying a house, but they have to sell their house.
Right.
How disastrous is that at this point? Because you have to still qualify them on
On both mortgages, right?
On both mortgages.
Yeah, you do.
Yep. Okay.
Yep. You know.
Wow, this stuff's a pain in
Well,
the
wait a
ass.
Pain in
minute.
the
So
ass.
if I say subject to sale of my house, this is what I
That's
pay.
different. That's different.
Oh, okay. If it's in the
Yeah.
purchase and sale agreement, you don't have to qualify for
Right.
Oh,
okay. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
But if it's
If you're going to keep it.
if they want to, say.
Oh, definitely. If they keep them both, you'd have to qualify.
No, but it might be that they're closing on the new house like a week ahead of the other one.
Right.
Then you,
But that's
yeah,
okay.
Then you
The
have to
only way
qualify.
the only way I've seen them waive it, whereas the person buying the house that they're going to sell
Okay.
gives them a clear to close commitment letter.
Really?
But no one's going to give that up.
Right.
So if I'm selling my house, I got to say to my buyer, "Hey, can you give me the show us the clear to close?"
Of course not.
I know, but that's
But
the
you
only
can do
time.
that.
That's the only time I've seen
So
them.
if the buyer's buyer has a clear to close, you can give that to your underwriter?
Yeah, and then Fannie Mae will waive having to debt them for that.
For both.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, I got it. That's a little confusing for our audience.
Yeah, but
so if you guys have any questions about what John just talked
Ooh,
about,
we got a lot
you
of
got to call
information
John
today.
Marroni. Where can we find you?
Just Google me, John Marroni,
No.
John.
No, the real answer is Falmouth on your deck.
That's
That's 10 in the summer.
Yeah, that's where I do my best work.
And honestly,
no apologies
if
ever.
you're really looking for him, you can call us and we'll send you in the right
And
direction.
how
you have
would
a
we
phone
call
number?
you?
Well, I have a phone number at 781-944-9222.
And that's it. We had a lot of information today.
was a good show.
Alternatively,
It's a good show.
If I may, alternatively, if you would like to check out Draper and Kramer, if you just go to your description below, there is a link to their website. So you
Wow.
just go
And
straight
look
on
up
there.
John Marroni there. Thank you,
Wow,
Chrissy.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Chrissy.
That's what I
That's
do.
so
It's the least
good.
I could do.
That works too.
Yeah. That would probably be the best one. Just go to the website.
All right. So
Let's
that's
go.
good. Thanks for
We'll
joining
see you
us
next
here
week.
on the Real Estate House Party. Tony V.
Yes.
As usual, a
Like
pleasure.
us on
Kathy
Facebook.
Holtshouser, paralegal extraordinaire, and the Iceman.
Woo.
Needs no other introduction.
Thank you, John.
Thank you.
Thanks for having me.
See you next week.
All right.
The views and opinions expressed by the hosts, guests, or callers of this program do not necessarily reflect the opinions of the Studio 21 Podcast Café, the United Podcast Network, its partners, or affiliates.